Hello, everybody. On this Memorial Day Monday, we're going to connect some dots here that I don't think many people are connecting, but it's the Federal Reserve meeting they had last week, along with what's happening on the other side of the globe. So the Federal Reserve decided not to lower interest rates. They said they may not raise interest rates. We're just going to stay as we are. Yet what they're seeing is what we're seeing. We're seeing a slowing economy that Walt is going to talk about in just a minute. So normally you would think the Fed would want to get ahead of this and lower rates now, but they didn't. So how come? I'm going to give you a hypothesis. What we saw about 10 days ago, 12 days ago over in China was Vladimir Putin made a visit and he took the A team. Now I want you to picture one of those great big rooms with the big long table with a tablecloth on it and the little flags. On one side of the table sat the Russians. On the other side of the table sat the Chinese. Who did Putin bring with him? This wasn't your normal meet and greet with just the politicians. Let me give you some of the names. Well, better the titles because I can't pronounce the names very well. He brought the founder of Rusal. Who is that? That's an aluminum company, but they make low carbon aluminum. They do metallurgy. They're a technology company. Also at the table, they had the CEO of Rosneft. That's their largest oil company. He had the head of their two largest banks in Russia. He brought the CEO of Russia's direct investment fund, big money. He brought the chairman of Novatek. That's their largest natural gas company. He brought the president of the Russian Union of Industrialists along with the chairman of their National Economic Development Co-op. Huh, you see a pattern here? This wasn't politicians just on the other side of the table. This was all about money. And on the Chinese side of the table, he had their counterparts. All right, so what does this mean here? After the meeting, they posted an 8,000-word summation of what they agreed to. And what it was is closer ties in industry, in technology, in banking, in finance, in across the board, politically, diplomatically, the two nations coming together. Basically, what they were saying is pretend is over. We're done with the West. We will be focusing on the East and the global South. And anybody who wants to join in this, we're welcoming them in. All right, by the way, key point in this 8,000 words, they will not be using the dollar in their bilateral trade. They will be using rubles and yuan, their own currencies. Then, less than a week later, we had ASEAN. We don't hear this acronym very much, ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. What group is that? They're actually our fourth largest trading partner. It's Vietnam, it's Brunei, it's Burma, let's see, Cambodia, Laos, Indonesia, Philippines, that group right in there. They said the same thing. We will no longer be using the dollar in trade amongst ourselves. So how does this tie back then to Chairman Powell? Well, if they're not using the dollar and they're not buying our debt, well, we need somebody else to buy it. That means he needs to keep rates higher to attract buyers. He knows this is going to be hard on an economy that Walt's going to talk about here in just a minute that isn't roaring. But I think he thinks he has no choice. And by the way, one more thing on this. The Federal Reserve owns our debt. And the longer he keeps interest rates up, the more the losses are in his own portfolio. Look at this. This chart shows the losses for the Federal Reserve itself. You see the squiggly line there on top? The Fed isn't supposed to either make or lose money. It's kind of supposed to flat line like this. Look at this waterfall. Every time they raise rates, that waterfall gets worse. Our own central bank is suffering from its own policies. It's a crazy time. And with that, I will turn it over to Walt.